Hello students, today I'll explain you chapter 8, The Bond of Love from Beehive textbook in English. I'll explain you its first part today. The story is written by Kenneth Anderson. Children, have you ever heard about any person taming down a wild animal? Yes, people do sometimes, but it's very difficult to tame down a wild bear. I'll explain you the story in which the author tames down a wild bear. How? We'll see. Can there be love and friendship between human beings and wild animals? Let's read a fascinating account of an orphaned sloth bear that was rescued by the author. Sloth bears inhabit forested areas, including the tropical rainforests of India and grasslands at lower elevations. Sloth bears have very shaggy hair and long muzzles. Using their claws to dig, they can then use their lips to form a tube which can go deep into the ground or into hard to reach areas like dead trees for their food. The main food is termites. You can hear them suck up their food from several feet away. So, in the story, before we start with the story, the author tells us about some characteristics of sloth bears. They normally live in forested areas, and especially the areas of tropical rainforests and grasslands in India, at the grasslands which are situated at lower elevations. They have long hair and they are very powerful animals. They have their long claws and they can dig soil very easily using their soils. They can make a hole through which they fold their lips to form a tubercle structure, and they insert that tubercle structure of their lips inside the soil or the holes in the tree, and they suck up the termites, which is their favorite food. I will begin with Bruno, my wife's pet sloth bear. I got him for her by accident. 2 years ago, we were passing through the sugarcane fields near Mysore. People were driving away the wild pigs from the fields by shooting at them. Some were shot and some escaped. We thought that everything was over when suddenly a black sloth bear came out panting in the hot sun. What happened? That he tells us about a story, an incident which happened 2 years ago when he was passing through the sugarcane fields near Mysore with some of his companions. He saw that people were driving away wild pigs from their fields, because wild pigs are animals. They destroy the whole fields, even though they are not eating the corn or the grain, but they destroy the whole fields, and they are such kind of animals. So people were driving out those pigs from their fields by shooting at them. Some were killed and some ran away. So people thought that now it's over, all the pigs either they have killed or they have run away. Suddenly the author saw that one black sloth bear came out of the forest or the fields, and he was just roaming about under the sun. Now, I will not shoot a sloth bear wantonly, but unfortunately for the poor beast, one of my companions did not feel that way about it and promptly shot the bear on the spot. So what happened? That author says that he would never like to kill a sloth bear because it's a wild animal and it's enjoying its life in the forest. But one of his companions did not think that way and he killed the sloth bear. As we watched the fallen animal, we were surprised to see that the black fur on its back moved and left the prostrate body. As soon as the dead body fell down, the author noticed that one black body separated from the dead body. Then we saw that it was a baby bear that had been riding on its mother's back when the sudden shot had killed her. The little creature ran around its prostrate parent, making a pitiful noise. It was then that the author realized that black body was none other than the baby bear which clinged to its mother's body, and when the mother died, the baby bear left its mother's body and moved from there, making a pitiful noise as if it was crying, seeing its mother dead. I ran up to it to attempt a capture. It scooted into the sugarcane field. When the author ran to catch hold of it, the baby bear ran into the sugarcane field. Following it with my companions, I was at last able to grab it by the scruff of its neck while it snapped and tried to scratch me with its long hooked claws. So somehow the author grabbed it, caught hold of it by its neck, and the baby bear tried to harm the author by scratching his hand with his long claws. We put it in one of the gunny bags we had brought, and when I got back to Bangalore, I duly presented it to my wife. She was delighted. She at once put a colored ribbon around its neck, and after discovering the cub was a boy, she christened it Bruno. So he put the baby bear inside the gunny bags, and when he went back to Bangalore, he presented the baby bear to his wife, and seeing the baby bear, the author's wife was very happy. She immediately put one ribbon around the baby bear's neck, and when she came to know that it was a baby boy, she named him Bruno. Bruno soon took to drinking milk from a bottle. It was but a step further, and within a very few days he started eating and drinking everything else. And everything else is the right word, for he ate porridge made from any ingredients, vegetables, fruit, nuts, meat, especially pork, curry and rice, regardless of condiments and chilies, bread, eggs, chocolates, sweets, pudding, ice cream, etc., etc., etc. In the beginning, the author says that they fed Bruno with the help of a bottle, and he used to drink milk from a bottle. But soon he started eating everything, and by using this term everything, the author says that this word is the exact and correct word for Bruno, because he started eating everything they used to give him. And the author has named a number of things which they provided him, and he ate regardless of chilies and other condiments which were used in cooking those stuff. As for drink, milk, tea, coffee, lime juice, aerated water, buttermilk, beer, alcoholic liquor, and in fact anything liquid, it all went down with relish. So the author says that when we talk about drinking, Bruno drank everything he was given. So he names number of things, and he says that he was happy drinking and eating anything they gave him. The bear became very attached to our two Alsatian dogs and to all the children of the tenants living in our bungalow. He was left quite free in his younger days and spent his time in playing, running into the kitchen, and going to sleep in our beds. So in the beginning days, when he was a young baby, he got attached to the author and his whole family. The author had two big Alsatian dogs at his home, so he became friendly with those dogs also, and he became friendly to all the children of the tenants who were living on rent at author's home. So he became very much friendly to all the children and the Alsatian dogs in the author's home bungalow. He was left quite free in his younger days, and when he was a small baby, they used to leave him free. They did not chain him. He used to play and run throughout the house, and he used to sleep with them in their beds too. One day, an accident befell him. I put down poison, barium carbonate, to kill the rats and mice that had got into my library. Bruno entered the library as he often did, and he ate some of the poison. Paralysis set in to the extent that he could not stand on his feet, but he dragged himself on his stumps to my wife, who called me. Now, the author talks about one incident that happened. One day, author had kept a poison named barium carbonate in his library because he had a library, number of books, and rats would destroy those books. So to avoid this situation, he kept some poison over there. Somehow, when Bruno entered his library, because it was a baby bear, they left him free. He used to roam throughout the house. He entered the library and he had eaten a little bit of barium carbonate poison. Now, what was the effect of this poison on Bruno's body? He got paralyzed and was not able to move his hind limbs. He dragged himself using his forelimbs and he went to the author's wife. Then author's wife noticed that something is wrong, so she called the author. I guessed what had happened, and when author saw Bruno, he understood that what might have happened. He understood that Bruno had accidentally eaten the poison. Off I rushed in the car to the vet's residence. A case of poisoning, tame bear, barium carbonate, what to do? Now when author came to know this thing, he immediately took Bruno to a veterinary doctor's home. And when he reached over there, the doctor saw the bear. He understood that he has eaten barium carbonate. Now doctor was to find out what to do. Out came his medical books and a feverish reference to index began. What poison did you say, sir? Barium carbonate. Ah, yes, barium. Salts. Ah, barium carbonate. Symptoms? Paralysis. Treatment? Injections of. Just a minute, sir. I'll bring my syringe and the medicine. So the doctor came to know that what medicine he has to give, and it was an injection, and he had to inject the medicine inside Bruno's body. A dash back to the car, Bruno still floundering about on his stumps but clearly weakening rapidly. Some vomiting, heavy breathing with heaving flanks and gaping mouth. Now, what was the effect of the poison on Bruno's body? Although he did not get faint, but still he was getting weak rapidly, speedily, and he was not able to breathe properly. So they decided to give him a medicine through injection. Hold him, everybody. In goes the hypodermic. Bruno squeals. 10 cc of the antidote enters his system without a drop being wasted. 10 minutes later, condition unchanged. Another 10 cc injected. 10 minutes later, breathing less stertorous. So now what happened, that they had injected 10 cc of the liquid of the antidote, that is the medicine, inside Bruno's body, and 10 minutes later they noticed that there was no change in his condition. He was not improving. Then one more dose of the injection was injected inside his body, and 10 minutes later the doctor and the author noticed that there was a little improvement in Bruno's health. Now what was the improvement? Bruno can move his arms and legs a little, although he cannot stand yet. 30 minutes later, Bruno gets up and has a great feed. He looks at us disdainfully, as much as to say, "What's barium carbonate to a big black bear like me?" Bruno is still eating. So the author said that 30 minutes later, Bruno was all right. He stood up on all his four limbs and he started eating nicely, as if he was making fun of the author as well as the doctor. That what do you think, this little barium carbonate poison can affect a big bear like me? So altogether we can say that there was no harm done by the poison, and Bruno was all right. Another time he found nearly 1 gallon of old engine oil which I had drained from the stump of the stewed breaker and was keeping as a weapon against the inroads of termites. He promptly drank the lot, but it had no ill effects whatever. Now, one more incident happened, and this was the second time when Bruno had taken something wrong. Now, what was it? It was the liquid, it was the oil, the engine oil, which author had kept in his home, 1 gallon of engine oil, to kill termites. Now, this time Bruno drank the whole lot of 1 gallon of engine oil, but there was no effect of the engine oil on Bruno's body. So, we can say that he was quite strong. The months rolled on, and Bruno had grown many times the size he was when he came. He had equalled the Alsatians in height and had even outgrown them, but was just as sweet, just as mischievous, just as playful. Now the author says that gradually Bruno was growing up. Now he had gained a lot of height and he equaled the Alsatian, the big Alsatian dogs, and even he became taller than them. But still he was a very sweet animal. He was very much playful, as he used to play when he was a young baby, and he was very sweet, very mischievous, just he was when he was a baby. And he was very fond of us all. Above all, he loved my wife and she loved him too. And the author says that the most important thing was that he loved author's family very much, and especially his wife, because she had always treated him like her own son. So he was very much fond of the author's wife, and even she was very much fond of him. She had changed his name from Bruno to Baba, a Hindustani word signifying small boy. So when the author's wife noticed that his behavior had not changed according to his height and age, so she named him Baba. She started calling him Baba instead of Bruno, because Baba means a small boy in Indian language. And he could do a few tricks too. At the command Baba wrestle or Baba box, he vigorously tackled anyone who came forward for a row and tumble. Apart from playing in author's house, Baba was fond of doing some tricks. The author and his wife had taught him some tricks as we teach our young children, and loved them performing before our guests. So in the same way, the author and his wife had taught him some tricks, like they used to say Baba wrestle or Baba box, and he used to play like a boxer. Give him a stick and say, Baba, hold gun, and he pointed the stick at you. Ask him, Baba, where's the baby? And he immediately produced and cradled affectionately a stump of wood which he had carefully concealed in his straw bed. But because of the tenants' children, poor Bruno or Baba had to be kept chained most of the time. Now, few other tricks were like Baba, where's the gun? So he used to hold a stick in his hand, pointing it towards you as if he is pointing a gun at you. And next, when he was told when he was asked about a baby, where's the baby, he used to move his hands like a cradle as if he has some baby in his arms. So he was such a sweet bear. But because of the tenant's children, because tenant had little children in the author's bungalow, so they had to put a chain around his neck most of the time, because he was no longer a young baby now. Now he was quite a grown-up wild bear.